Hello beautiful people, my name is Rachel and thanks for stopping by. As the video title suggests, today we are going to be taking a look into my dating life. My dating life is not very fairy tale-esque, if you will, or super lovey-dovey full of cute stories. It's more full of crazy things happening to me, to the point where I'm convinced that I'm cursed, but that's a whole other topic for another day. So the first story I'm going to tell is probably the least interesting, and then we're going to build up. So make sure you stay tuned the whole time so that you can hear 3 wild stories that give you a pretty good look into what my dating life looks like. I love telling people these stories. You know, my thing is like, if you have a bad experience or not an ideal experience, getting a good story out of it is something good. So if you know me in person, you've probably heard these stories before. I don't usually talk about my dating life a lot on the internet. I tend to keep that private, but these are just too good not to share with you guys. Leave a comment down below telling me your craziest boy stories. I would love to hear them. I love talking about dating experiences that are wild. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So the first story happened less than a year ago, and I started talking to this boy. We did meet on Tinder. And Tinder's a wild place. It's a fun experience. I will say that. You meet a lot of interesting people, to say the least. But I met this boy on there, and he was an exception to the normal Tinder routine. So this boy was very upfront about the fact that he wanted a relationship. I wasn't on Tinder to like find my soulmate. I don't think that's the best way to source that. I was on there like kind of seeing what it was like, just kind of honestly bored, like just wanting to talk to different people. I love meeting people. So I was like, you know what, let's just go this route. So I did meet this boy on there. He's like, yeah, I'm looking for a relationship. Like I said, I didn't expect that from Tinder, but I wasn't opposed to a relationship, so I was like, okay, let me keep talking to this boy. He was really fun to talk to, really easy to talk to. We talked on Snapchat pretty much every day, and he wanted to hang out with me after talking for several days, maybe a week, I don't really remember. So I'm like, okay, I'm actually gonna hang out with this boy. It made me a little nervous. Going to hang out with someone that you met on Tinder, just a whole big thing. I prefer to hang out with people that I've already met in person, but I was like, okay, this boy's sweet, we get along well, he wants to hang out, let's just try this out. So this boy is like obviously trying to pursue me, and I don't remember word for word because this was a while ago and it really wasn't that big of a deal for me, but essentially I got the impression that this boy like really wanted to impress me, really wanted to make me happy. So it was kind of to the point where you know that like they want you to tell them what you want so that they can give it to you, which is nice. It's nice to be treated like that. And so he's like, I want to take you out. Let's go watch a movie. Let's get some dinner, you know, your typical date. And I was excited because honestly, like in this day and age, when a boy wants to spend time with you, no matter what his intentions are, it's usually just like, come over and watch a movie with me, which like I'm all for. I love chilling in bed, not doing anything. But he's like, I want to take you out. Where do you want to go? And I think at the time I was eating like Italian food, and I told him like, I want Italian food. And he's like, okay. But then as the day progresses, he starts wanting to do less and less. So he's like, oh, like you want Italian food? He's like, I really want Chick-fil-A. And listen, I'm all in for Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A. And I usually never turn down Chick-fil-A, but I was kind of under the impression we were like going to go out and do something special. And so at first it was like, let's go out somewhere, eat food, and then go watch a movie. And then it was like, maybe we should just get takeout. And I'm like, okay, like I'm fine with that. So we were supposed to get takeout, and I'm still like, I want Italian food. And he's still like, I want Chick-fil-A. So essentially he doesn't want to do anything that I want to do at this point. I'm not picky, whatever, let's just do whatever. And then he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna go through the drive-thru, get us Chick-fil-A, and come to your house. And I was like, okay. I felt a little uncomfortable. I think the first time you hang out with someone that you meet online, you should do it in a public space. I feel a little more comfortable that he was coming to my place because I had roommates, and I felt more safe in that environment. If something did go wrong, like they were there to help me. He decides he's gonna pick me up. We're gonna go through the drive-thru together. So we had been Snapchatting. It was mainly text messages on Snapchat, but there were some photos that we sent of each other. But in most of his photos, he would like only send part of his, like show part of his face. In these photos, like I couldn't really tell what he looked like. And I don't want to say I was catfished, but I kind of was. So he picks me up, I get in his car, and he doesn't really look anything like any of his photos that I'd seen him. None of the ones on Snapchat, none of the ones that were originally on his profile. He looks like a completely different person. And while I don't think that like judging someone based on their looks is like should be everything, but I do think that it's important to be attracted to the person that you're with. If you're going to be in a relationship with someone, if you're not attracted to them, that is a problem. And the reason I say that is because, okay, well, like, if things get really serious, per se, and you end up together for the rest of your lives, if that's, like, some point, you're going to have sex with this person. Whether you believe that's before or after marriage, totally up to you. But if you're with this person, and you're not physically attracted to them, you're not going to want to do that. What about when you want to have kids? You get what I'm saying? So anyway, besides like making a child, there are people out in the world that will find each individual attractive. Not everyone in the world is going to find every single person attractive. It's just not a thing. But someone out there does find you attractive. And if you're with someone that you don't appreciate the way that they look, it's not fair to that individual, because there are people out there that do find them attractive and can like genuinely like give them compliments that they really mean and can really like help them believe that. People are like, looks don't matter, but honestly they do. Like, it's not fair to that individual if you're not really 100% into them. You get that? Okay, now that is aside. So I get in this boy's car and he's not really what I expected, but a big thing for me is how you vibe with someone. But I just get in the car, and I know when you first meet someone, especially if you're nervous because you know you want this person to like you, it's the first time you're meeting, you want to give off a good impression, and sometimes your nerves get the best of you and you just ramble. We've all been there. Just the things that he was talking about, I just didn't get a good energy from. I thought it was like very weird. It was just like a lot of complaining, and I know that's the easiest type of conversation to have with someone, but everything just felt very off. So I'm already like regretting getting in this car, and I just know immediately that this is not it. This is not what I want. But I felt bad, and it was just too late. I was like, okay, maybe I'll just give it some time. So we get our food, we go back to my apartment, and I forgot to say this. Before I hung out with this boy, my roommates and I came up with a code so that if I needed this boy to leave, I could just send that and they would know what to do. So the code was like, I forgot to unplug my straightener or something like that. So that way if I had to text it, but he could see my phone, he would like, wouldn't be suspicious, not like get this boy out of my house. It's just something very generic. Pretty smart tip. You should use it if you ever need to. But so I'm texting my roommates and I'm like, I'm about ready to unplug the straightener. So I'm already like out. We bring our food back. He's like sitting on my bed. I'm sitting on my bed. I'm on the other side. So we're eating our food. I think we were watching a movie, but I think he talked through the whole thing. And I was done. I wanted to be left alone. And so I text my friends. I'm like, okay, it's go time. So my roommates leave and they call me, and it's like a fake call, and I think it was a weekend, so they pretended like they were at a party and one of them was like really drunk and I had to go pick them up. So essentially that's what happened. So I tell this boy, I'm like, oh my gosh, like my friend's really drunk. I think we might have pretended like one of them was alone. I don't remember. But we're like, I was like, oh my gosh, my friend's like in trouble. She's at this party. I don't think it's safe. I need to go get her. Which maybe that shows bad character, but I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to hurt this boy's feeling. I'm not upfront in that manner. I didn't want to be like, hey, I don't really like you. Can you leave? So he's like, oh, let me come with you. I'm like, oh, I think I should go alone. And so I literally walk out to the parking garage to get in my car so that it would look real. I get in my car and he's like texting me from his car, and he's like, I can wait if you want, which made me feel even worse because he was such a sweet guy. This boy had like no bad intentions that he showed. And I just felt really bad. But then he left, and then we like talked a little bit more. Not like, I think the next day I like told him like, I'm just not ready for this, like I just don't want this, and kind of let him down easy. I really hope he's not watching this because I feel really bad. But there's someone out there for him. I don't know what's going on in his life. I deleted him off of social media. I do hope good things have come to this boy because he was very sweet and genuine. But it just wasn't right for me. And if something's not right for you, don't be afraid to walk away from it, even if you do kind of have to create a little scam to get out of it. Okay, time for story number 2. This is when things start to get crazy. So, this story happened to me in high school. And this boy, okay, I'm gonna start naming the boys. So this boy, we're going to call him Todd. So this is a fake name, not his real name. So Todd, I believe, messaged me on Instagram, I think. And I was in high school, and I don't know if he was in school or not. I don't think he was. I think he had like graduated, and he lived a couple towns over from me. And so in high school, like I didn't really date. I'd never really like been serious with anyone. I'd like talked to a couple boys on and off, but nothing too dramatic. And this boy started talking to me. He was really sweet. I was very naive, and he wanted to take me on a date, which was very exciting because I don't think I'd been on a lot of dates at this point, if any. And you know, it was exciting for a cute boy to like come after me and be like, oh, I want to take you out. And he was going to drive into the town where I lived, which was even nicer because I used to talk to a boy who lived towns away, and he always wanted me to come to him, which was a little bit frustrating. I feel like you should kind of compromise, but this boy was like, no, I want to drive to see you. I'm going to take you out. We're going to have so much fun. I can't wait to meet you. And so he let me pick the restaurant, and I did decide to go to the restaurant where my best friend worked. So that way, if things got weird, she would be there, which is, I'm all for this. Like if you're going somewhere with someone that you're not sure about, always have a safety net like that, because you never really know, especially if you're meeting people online, you never really know how they're going to turn out. I think this story shows that really well. So it's the day of our date, and I was texting him all day. He was telling me how excited he was to see me. I go home, I'm getting ready, and he, I think, stopped texting me, but I was like, maybe he's getting ready. You know, he kind of has a far drive, so maybe he's driving. And I got ready, I drove to the restaurant, and I was like, hey, just let me know when you're here and you're parked, and like I'll come meet you, because the parking was kind of weird. There was someone like the front and the back, so I just wanted to know when he got there. And he didn't text me back, and I'm like, you know, maybe he's still driving, maybe he's a good citizen and not texting and driving. And he still didn't text me back, so I like sit in my car, I'm like, okay. And finally my best friend texts me, and she's like, where are you? She knew what time our date was supposed to be. And I was like, I don't know. So eventually I go into the restaurant. This boy's still not talking to me, and it's like a restaurant with like a bar, and so I sat at the bar and I was talking to my friend like in between like her spare time when she was going in between tables. And he's still not responding to me. I think I texted him again, you know, see if everything was okay. No response. So eventually my best friend's boyfriend at the time came in, and we were talking, and I actually ended up having dinner with him because we were both there, and we were trying to figure out what the heck was going on with this boy. So he actually even called him from his phone to see if he would pick up for a different number, to see if like he was just ghosting me. He didn't answer. So at this point I started getting really worried, and I think this is like embarrassing once you know what actually happened, but I think it shows what kind of heart I have. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what if this boy got into a car accident? So now I'm really worried. I'm like, oh my gosh, this boy was coming to see me. He could be dead, and it's my fault. So my friends are like, God bless. My friends are like, just type his name into Google and see if anything comes up. They're like, see if something about a car accident or anything comes up. So I'm like, okay, great idea. Bad idea. So I looked this up, and his name does pop up along with his mugshot, which is just something that every person wants to see when they're meeting a stranger from the internet for a date, right? And his charges were for very minor things. I mean, they were still illegal activities, but it's not like he murdered someone. So I'm not gonna say what the charges are, because I think if any of the boys that I'm talking about watch this video, it would probably be him. Sorry, I'm telling the story, but you gave me the story, so. So I see the mugshot, I'm like, oh great, this is just great. I don't text him anymore. I finish my dinner, I go home, I'm very upset, obviously. The mugshot, I should say, was from months earlier. It didn't happen that night. But he still wasn't talking to me. He didn't talk to me for a long time. I don't know if he texted me a few like weeks or months after that. He didn't reach out to me, like to be like, this is what happened here, like at this time. I think it was later, like maybe a year or so later, he was like Snapchatting me or texting me. I think he was Snapchatting me, like hitting on me. And I was like, dude, why are you hitting on me? You had a chance and you completely blew it. And I was like, why did you never show up? He was like, oh, something came up and I just didn't know how to explain it to you, so I just didn't come. And I was like, first of all, that made me so mad, because I feel like I'm one of the most understanding people in the whole world. And I would have totally understood. It's like embarrassing to show up for a date that you've been talking about to your friends, and then the boy never shows up, never gives you an answer until years later when you have to beg for it, essentially. Like, that's embarrassing. And so I was like mad that he could have just been like, something happened, I can't tell you what it is, but I'm not coming. It's that simple. Like, it's not hard to communicate with people, and that's what like makes me so mad. Now I'm over it. I know I seem mad, but I promise I do not care. So he did like try to get with me again multiple times after that, like for a long time. Like, he was constantly like after me. He kept asking me to hang out. I was like, I don't want to hang out with you. I will never forget the weirdest thing. He asked me what I was doing one day, and I was like, nothing. And he invited me over, and he was like, yeah, we can like do this, and make crafts or something. And I was like, what? Like, I like crafts. Okay, like arts and crafts, cool, but if I'm hanging out with you for the first time, like, what? I don't know. The whole thing was weird. I don't even know if I follow him on Instagram anymore. We don't talk. We haven't talked for years. It was so weird. I've never been so shocked waiting for this boy who I think could be my knight in shining armor, and then I find a mugshot. So that was great. If you are still here for story number 3, congratulations, you're about to be in for a treat. I just realized I named him in that story and only used his fake name once. I said he the rest of the time, so whatever. So story number 3. This story happened my freshman year of college, and oh my gosh, crazy stuff. So I met this boy and I hung out with him one time, and he ended up really liking me. And so the first time I went to his house, I think we watched a movie together, and he lived close to me, so I walked home. I'll never forget this. He walked me home, and he told me the only reason he was walking me home was because his weed guy lived close to me. That should have been the first red flag. He's like, I literally don't care if you go home or how you go home. I'm just here because I want my drugs. Like, okay. So I'm still talking to him, you know. I'm a freshman in college. I'm like getting attention from cute boys, and like that never really happened, and it was exciting and fresh and new. So like anyone who gave me attention, I was like, ooh, okay. For our first date, we go to a Red Lobster, and he didn't have a car, I didn't have a car, so we Ubered everywhere. And this boy seemed to have a substantial amount of money for a college kid. But we Ubered there, he paid for it, he paid for dinner, and I've never had an experience like this in a restaurant before. So he didn't have his ID with him, but he was 21, or older than 21, I don't remember. But he convinced the waitress to let him order alcoholic drinks, even though he didn't have his ID. And he also ordered literally like the entire menu. So this boy got 2 appetizers, 2 entrees, however many sides came with those entrees, and he upgraded them to be like the fancy ones. He also got a whole lobster, and he got those 2 alcoholic drinks. I don't think we did dessert. But he orders all of this. The waitress proceeds to go to take my menu, and I said, oh, I haven't ordered yet. And she was like, oh, I thought he ordered for you. That's how much food this boy got. And I was like, nope. So I ordered my food, and first, what the heck? This boy is literally so small, probably smaller than me, and he orders a massive amount of food. Massive. Our whole table was covered in food. He like barely eats any of it. And he packs up all the food in to-go boxes that he doesn't finish, and proceeds to invite himself to come and spend the night with me. And I lived in a dorm room that was this big, and I had a roommate, but he still comes over, bringing all of his stinky seafood. I love seafood, but lobster does not smell good. So he puts it all in my mini fridge, which is now packed full of all of this weird food. And he sleeps in my bed, which is a tiny twin-size bed, which is not comfortable. And then he leaves the next day, so like that's not the craziest part. So this boy is starting to really like me, and I wasn't really feeling it. And at this time, I kind of got involved with someone else, and so I ended things with him because I was more interested in this other person. And he did not like that. So it was the end of the school year, and I was going to be moving back home, which is 2 hours away from where I go to school. And I mainly told him like, that's the reason that I don't want to do this, which it was a big factor in it. And he was like, please, like, stay with me. I will Uber to see you. I'm like, you're gonna Uber 2 hours away to come see me. That is insane. But he was like begging me, and I was like, no, like, I don't want to. So he finally leaves me alone, and I go about my summer, and probably about mid to late summer, he hits me up, and he's like talking about us being together, and I'm still not on the same page as him. And he then proceeds to ask me if I know what a sugar baby is. And I said, what? And then he offered to be my sugar daddy. So this boy was going to pay me, I think it was $350 a week, in addition to taking me to get my hair and nails done, buying me drinks if I want them, buying me food, taking me out, taking me shopping. So he was gonna spend a lot of money on me. And like, in college, like $350 is a lot of money. Like, most people don't have that type of disposable income to just give to someone. He did have a couple requirements, but they weren't very strict, as you know how sugar daddies work. But I denied the offer. I just didn't feel comfortable going into that agreement. So as much as I wanted to be spoiled, I said, nope, I have a job, I make my own money, I do not want that, no thank you. So I said no, and he was like, well, if you change your mind, like, let me know. He also tells me that he's had multiple sugar babies before. I'm still not really sure where this money comes from, but whatever. So we stopped talking, and then he would like hit me up occasionally, and one time he asked me if I wanted to like go in with him to invest in something that he could double my money in 2 weeks. It was guaranteed, he swore it could work, and I'm a little smarter than that, and I said no. He promised me that he could double my money, and he was like, you know that I have money. If something goes wrong, like, I promise I'll pay you back in full. And I was like, no. I'm not dumb enough. I'm not being scammed by some boy. Also at this time, he, I think, started dealing hard drugs. That's not really my business, but he did get a girlfriend, so it kind of left me alone a little more. But then, probably about a year later, I see on Snapchat, there's an account that I follow, and it's like for the university. It's student ran, so it's a little bit less monitored, so more information kind of gets put out there than like a university ran account. And someone posted a screenshot of a Snapchat that someone had sent in with this boy's name in it, saying, this boy's a scammer, he'll take all your money, like, don't trust him. And I'm like, I told y'all, like, I do it. And so a bunch of people are like, yeah, like, he totally does this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I didn't let myself get involved with him. And that happened. And then a couple months after that, I was sitting on my couch, scrolling through Facebook, and I'm just like half paying attention. And I was a part of a lot of like local groups because I was running a business in my town, and so I needed to be a part of those, like advertise my business, and a lot of odd things got posted in there. So actually like a police page or something to that effect posted in one of these groups, so it showed up on my feed, and there are 3 people, there are 3 names and 3 mugshots, and they're like, if you know the whereabouts of these people, like, please contact us, please let us know. And one of the mugshots were his. I have no idea what he did. I have no idea why he was being looked for by the police. He's deleted me off of all social media. It was around that time, so I think he might have been kind of like cleaning up things, like trying to get out. And no idea what it was for. I will say I did look on the internet to try and find out because I'm a little bit nosy. I did not find out. I have no idea if they found him. I haven't looked, but who knows, he could be in jail. I have no idea what he did, but it just shows you, like, you never know who people really are. And I'm not saying that, like, if you have a mugshot, you're a bad person or you're someone that you should stay away from, but I'm just saying, like, what? Like, why does me going on dates with boys always lead to criminal records? Like, why? Do I have something that's like criminals? Like, what? And I feel like it's all like for similar things, so I don't know. I think I have terrible luck. Nothing this crazy has happened to me in a while though, so praise Jesus. But yeah, this is how my dating life looks. So these are 3 of my top stories. I feel like the other stories that I have that are interesting go a little into like emotional abuse, so I don't want to share those. If you're a boy that I've had something with and you are watching this because you thought I was going to talk about you, hello. I would love to know who watches these videos, because I would love to see if any of the boys that I've talked to, like, were worried that they were going to be mentioned in this video. I didn't say any names because I do want to protect identities, but I don't know, they probably don't care. They didn't even care about me when I was with them. So, like, they're not watching my videos, but who knows? You never know. You can be surprised. Sometimes people will text me and be like, I watched your video, and it's like, you watched my video? But yeah, dating in college is wild. If you guys like hearing me talk about my life, please let me know, and I would love to share some more stories with you. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. In addition to taking me to get my nail, what am I saying that? I feel like I sound really bad right now. What the heck? Okay.